All right, guys, another quick video here, just talking about looking at these two different representations of functions. And it says a car manufacturer provided information about two different car manufacturers. So we're talking about car A here and car B. Okay, so two different ones. So these are not the same things, okay? And then over here we have some questions, and we're just going to be looking at what are the miles per gallon for car A and what are the miles per gallon for car B. So we're just going to figure this out. Okay, so we look at car A. This is the diagram, right? This is the graph for car A, all right? So the first thing you do when you look at a graph, guys, make sure you see what it's comparing. So look at the things. Okay, so over here on the left, I have distance in miles. And then down here I have gas in gallons, all right? So it is comparing distance and gas. Those are the two things it's comparing, all right? And it's, distance per gallon, right? So miles per gallon. And you can see it right here, miles per gallon, all right? So what we can do is we can look at the graph, and they put these points in here, so we can see these points. That's not a good point. We can see these points. There's a point, there's a point, there's a point, and then we see this line connected them. That's our function, all right? And so right here, we start at 0, 0, right? We just start at 0, 0. And then to get from one point to the next, this is how we do it. We start at one point and we say, okay, how far up did we go, right? And then we say, how far over did we go? So we went up 50, right, to go to up to here, because we're just trying to get from point to point, but we can't go diagonally. We want to go up and over. So we went up 50 and we went to the right 1, 2. Notice it's 2. It's not 1. We didn't just go over 1. We went over 2. So we could look at this and say, okay, we know this is 50 miles. 50 miles. So 50 miles for every, and I'll change color so we can see what's happening, for every 2 gallons. For every 2 gallons. Okay, for every 2 gallons. So we really want to figure out, well, how far did they go for every 1 gallon? So we could just think about that and we could probably figure it out. But we can also do division. You could put this in your calculator. You could do a lot of different ways, right? But it's just half of 50, right? 50 divided by 2 or 50 over 2 is half of 50. So it's 25 miles, 25 miles for every 1 gallon. For every 1 gallon. Okay? So that's what it would be for car A. For car A, it's 25 miles for every 1 gallon. Okay? And then now let's look at car B. So this is a different car. Okay? It's going to have different numbers. It's going to be doing a different thing. And they're representing it in a table. But notice what it still has. It still has gallons. And it still has miles. So those are still the same things we're comparing, okay? So now, if we look at this, we can look and we can say, okay, well, they start at 0. If I go 0 miles, I have to use 0 gallons of gas, right? I didn't go anywhere. If I go 60 miles, then I use 3 gallons of gas, all right? If I go 100 miles, I have to use 5 gallons of gas, and they keep going down, right? So there's a few numbers in here that I can look at pretty quickly and know exactly how many miles I can go on 1 gallon. And I would say for me, I'd look down here at this one and see how, what's happening. And there's a lot of different ways you can work through this problem. One way is this. So I could say, okay, I go 60 miles and I have to use 3 gallons. So if I go 60 miles, let me use here we go. So 60 miles. If I go 60 miles, I'll just write an M. I have to use 3 gallons of gas, right? And that would equal 60 divided by 3 is 20 miles, 20 miles for every 1 gallon of gas, for every 1 gallon of gas, all right? So we know that, okay. So there's one way. So we know this is the answer, and we can go ahead and write that in. We could say it's 20 miles for 1 gallon of gas, okay? But I also want to show you a different way to use this table. And the way we can use tables is we could say, well, what are the differences? What are the differences between our independent variable and our dependent variable? Okay, so our gas and our distance. And it sounds weird, but it's, guys, you've done it before, and it's super duper easy. So all we have to do is say, how if I go from 3 to 5, how much is that? It increased by 2, right? It just went up by 2, okay? And then if we look at our gallons, for this change of 2, how much did we increase here? We went from 60 up to 100. That's plus 40. So we increased by 40. If we do this division of these numbers, 40 divided by 2, guess what we still get? We still get 40 divided by 2. We still get the same answer, which is 20 miles per gallon. Okay, so we still get the same answer. This way is better because you don't have to ever worry. If you do it this way, where you find the change in the gallons and you find the change in the miles here, and these could be anything, but you find the change, you never have to worry about where these start. These happen to start at 0, 0. If you notice here, it started at 0, 0, right? But if this had started up here and went like this, right, then we would have to figure out a lot of information about this 150. Where if you just do it this way and find the change between the numbers of each side and then divide them, you never have to worry about that. It could start at any amount and it'll still give you correct information. Okay? All right. So thanks a lot.